What's up, what's up, what's up? This is the Build Your Vision podcast, the number one self-leadership podcast in the world for visionaries who are serious, not just curious about building a life and business they are proud of. My name is Clee the Visionary. I'm your self-leadership coach, and it is my mission to take you on the journey of becoming a visionpreneur, an individual who makes impact and income with their ideas, insights, and influence because someone needs what you're building. Yes, at the time I'm recording this episode, it is late at night and I have my retainers in. So if you hear me speaking with the lifts, that is why. I pay too much money for these teeth. I gotta keep them straight. Look, guys, you know that we're always going to keep it a hundo on the BYV podcast, and we're going to keep it a buck with you. So the bottom line is that being a visionary is not always rainbows and sunshine. Like, there are going to be times where you're up on the mountaintop, and there are going to be times when you're definitely in the valley, right? And sometimes you could just feel utterly lost and confused. You think you have things figured out, and then you don't think you have them figured out. And that's perfectly okay and normal. And we always encourage you to just keep on going, keep on building your vision every single day, right? That is the motto of what this show is about. But sometimes it's good to just hear in community other people's stories and experiences so that one, that you can relate and know that you are not alone, but also you can learn from them and what they did to push through. So I'm so excited to have Bre Wheeler on the show today. Bre is an amazing creative fashion enthusiast. She's a sneakerhead. She's a community builder, and she is most popularly known for her fashion brand, Jesus and Sneakers. If you know anything about urban and sneaker culture and have any part in church culture, you've probably seen her brand somewhere on the internets. And you might have even seen it worn by some of the most prominent gospel artists in the game right now, such as Maverick City Music and Kirk Franklin. But this wasn't always the case for Bre, right? She shares her vision story with us about a time when she didn't even know whether she was on the right path or not. Let's get into it. You're listening to the Build Your Vision podcast, a podcast series about maneuvering the ups and downs of building a life that you're proud of, captured in real time. A community where dreamers become doers, and doers become world changers. Let's go.
A lot of people know me now as the Jesus plus Sneakers lady, but before Jesus plus Sneakers ever existed, the overarching brand, which is Fashionably Humble, started as a brand inspiring men and women to be modest with their fashion. So it started off as a fashion blog in 2019, 2020. I just took pictures of my outfits and I posted about them. I shared what the inspiration was, and then I had dialogue with the people that were following at the time. And then sometimes I would post like some inspirations from other people that I followed, whom I loved their fashion, and then just kind of building a community. I was more so building a community versus a business. The business aspect was the t-shirts, but I wasn't really selling a lot of those. And so I'm like, okay, I want to make some money, but the t-shirt thing isn't really working.
And that was like Fashionably Humble on the t-shirts?
Yeah, so it was just like a basic. I'm very minimalistic, and when it comes to design and creativity, I think you can get the most out of the minimal. It was literally just Fashionably Humble straight across, and maybe like the most basic font ever. But people bought it. So if you ever go to my Instagram page and scroll all the way down to the bottom to see the very first post that I have, Fashionably Humble, the word fashionably is in cursive, and then humble is just like literally like basic font. And so I also had a t-shirt that looked like that as well. And that sold well as well. But it just was not, I didn't have a plan. And so I think a lot of people start these things without having a plan, which is fine. But eventually you got to start working some kinks out. Like I came into this thing unaware, unlearned. I don't know if I said that right, but not taught, these things. And I had to learn as I went, right? As I was growing. And so I've learned a lot during that period of when I started Fashionably Humble. Because you just get so excited. You get in the moment. You're just like, boom, here this is. And I want to release it. And eventually you start to lose momentum. Like you lose your personal drive, and then, your customers and your clients and the audience and the community that you created, they start to get lost, and they're wondering like, what happened? Like we were so excited like you were, but you lost your zeal because you didn't really have a plan. So Jesus and Sneakers originated in 2021, and it did not come from anything. When I tell you, this was one of those things that just literally fell on my lap and I ran with it. That's what it was. I did not have no vision. I did not have no plan. I did not, I wasn't planning on doing the color like this and cutting up. This was not in my plan. I literally was walking in the mall and the Lord just dropped Jesus and sneakers. Like it was just like that, just instantly. And so I saw it and I heard it and I said, okay. So I went home. I played with a couple of designs on the yellow crew neck that I have. And I was off of social media for about a week. I posted myself in the yellow crew neck on my story. And the DMs went crazy, like absolutely crazy. Now, mind you, before I even did all this, I'm trying to figure out how am I going to relaunch Fashionably Humble? Because I know it was something that God gave me and I just didn't want to throw it away.
I'm sure lots of visionaries have gone through this before where the original idea, like their baby, like maybe did not work or did not become what they thought it was going to be. And then another idea like supersedes it. Because you say you don't want to throw it away, right? Like, how have you been dealing with, I guess, navigating that space of like, okay, God, you gave me this idea, but also feel like there's something with this. How have you been conversing with God about that and within yourself internally?
That's a great question. It's highlighting those passions again. As I mentioned earlier, my passion is fashion. I just love it. And I know I want to do something with it. Like, people ask me to style them for events and things like that. People ask me all the time, like, hey, Bre, like, what do you think about this? Like, what can I do with this? What can I do with that? And so that passion and that zeal is still there for me to be able to monetize that, right? And so I highlight on my passion. I don't think I would have as much confidence to continue it if it wasn't a passion. Now, if I just felt like, oh, just Fashionably Humble, it was nothing, it was just a blog, then more than likely I would probably throw it away and let it disappear, and it never existed, right? But because I have this passion in my heart and this burning in my heart, for something that is relevant and necessary, right? So Fashionably Humble is inspiring, a way to inspire people to be more modest with their fashion. And I think that is relevant to the times that we're in, right? So if you're paying attention to the church culture, it's shifting with what we wear. So we're wearing sweatshirts, we're wearing caps, we're wearing sneakers to Sunday service. Like, it's not a lot of people dressing up anymore. And so I want you to be able to go into church and be your best dress in a comfortable way, but in like a fly manner, right? And so that is where like the stirring comes, like knowing that God is still in this in everything that I do, but just relying on that passion that I have and just telling God, like, this is something that I don't want to throw away, and this is something I know that you gave me. So how can I use this for your glory, and also use this that would not only benefit myself but benefit others, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not about us, it's about the people. And so you have to talk to God. Being an entrepreneur, you are communicating with God like 24/8, okay? And you have to constantly go to him, because when you're doing something that God has given you, at the end of the day, it's not about what you want to do with it. It's about what he wants you to do with it, because he gave it to you, right? And so you have to consult with him. You have to have meetings, quote unquote, meetings with him, and be like, hey, God, I know you gave me Fashionably Humble, but how can I use this for your glory? How can I use this to impact an audience that, one, I reached right now, but an audience that I have yet to reach? What can I do to do that?
I 1000% agree, because I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 6 months now.
Oh,
and
okay.
it has been I've drawn nearer. I have drawn nearer to the Lord, because there's so many times of you think you had it figured out, and then you almost feel like you're back at ground zero. You're like, I thought I had a plan, but now it just like, okay, I guess, Lord, like, what's the next move? And eventually you realize, God, I'm going to need every move, every single one. So I can completely understand that. And even with what you said, so I've been doing this podcast for about 5 years now. But as far as like active, right? It's been about 3.5 years.
Okay.
The year 2021, I did not release an episode. And I kind of identify with what you're saying, where you like with Fashionably Humble, you took a year off. What were you thinking about, and what was going through your mind during that time where you weren't necessarily active with the brand?
I did not know what to do. I thought I was a failure. I thought I just wasn't anything, because I don't like starting stuff and not finishing it. And so I didn't like that about myself. I felt like I was just so excited and passionate about something, and I released it. I got everybody excited about this business and this brand. And then I just like let it go. Like, this is probably super dramatic. I'm super dramatic. But
go ahead, please.
It's like you standing like at the top of a building, and then just like letting like, just be like, you got a stash of money. You just be like, just drop it and just let it fall. It's still useful. It still has a purpose, right? So the money didn't get destroyed. I just let it go. I just let it fly to the ground. That's how I felt with the business. Like, I have Fashionably Humble. I'm sitting on the cliff and I just let it go. Like, it's still alive. It's not dead. It doesn't need to be resurrected. It just landed softly on the ground. And then I just walked away from it, like as if nothing ever happened. And I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. And so I felt bad. Like, I really felt that I just didn't have anything going for myself. And that's really a dangerous thought to think, because that's not the case, right? I still have this thing, because once I get off the cliff, all I got to do is walk down the stairs of the building, got to walk through the building, walk down the stairs, and go pick up Fashionably Humble. And it's just like nothing ever happened, right? But I was just like, God, I don't know what to do. I really don't know. I don't know anything about anything. I'm trying to research. I'm trying to use my resources. But I just don't know how you want me to do this. And at that time, my relationship with the Father wasn't as strong as it is now. And so I kind of felt like I was doing things in my own hands, like taking matters in my own hands and not really relying and dependent on Him on this. I'm like, God, are you sure you, like, I started questioning my Holy Spirit. I'm like, did I listen correctly? Like, is this something that I'm really supposed to be doing? And so you like have all these questions in your head, and it was just like, yeah, no, I ain't about to do this. This was just something that I made up. This was something that God was just like, or was God even in this? And so you ask yourself a lot of questions, and I'm just like, nah, this is something that I need to be doing. I just got to figure out how to do it. And so let's get back into that prayer closet. Let's talk to God again. Be like, hey, I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. And if I did, just show me what I need to do, and then we'll be all right. You know?
What made the walkaway happen in the first place? Was it overwhelm? Was it failed expectations? Was it distractions? Like, what was that for you?
I was definitely overwhelmed. Basically all of the above. I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do, because I was tired of taking pictures and posting them. I just wasn't consistent either. And I think that once I stopped the consistency, that's when I fell off the map. And I lost my zeal. I lost my drive. And I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, trying to keep up with orders. Like, I wasn't getting a lot of orders, but trying to find somebody to make the shirts, trying to make sure I had the money to make the shirts, and also making a revenue. Like, that's a lot. And I don't think people realize how much goes into making or having a t-shirt line. Like, it's just more than just having a nice product and shipping it out to people. Like, if you don't have a t-shirt line, you do not understand the back end of everything that we do. We have to find vendors. We have to find somebody that makes quality work. We have to get samples. Like, it's just a lot that goes on behind the scenes that I just was not prepared for. So I'm like, I don't want to do this. Get somebody else to do it. Like, that was me back like a couple years ago. No, get somebody else to do it. And I was okay with it. Like, outwardly, I was okay. But in my heart, I was broken, because I'm just like, this is something that I really wanted to do, and I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah. You were working full time at this time? You had a job or?
No, so I forgot to leave. I left that piece out. I quit my job. Of like 2 years, 2.5 years. I did marketing and development for a nonprofit. So I quit my job thinking that fashion was, it was a whole joke. I quit my job to think that Fashionably Humble would provide for me full time. And I would do like these side hustles like Amazon Flex and DoorDash and things like that to make money. I had this whole plan. I had a solid plan. Did I follow through with that plan? No, because I was tired of door dashing and driving every day to make some money. And then Fashion Be Humble fell off my lap. So I struggled. I struggled for a while. Didn't have a job. I know I didn't want to go back into the corporate arena. And so I'm trying to figure out what I can do. So I'm taking pictures. I'm cleaning shoes. Like, I'm a hustler at heart. Like, it runs through our bloodstream. So I'm going to find a way to get some money. And I'm going to find a way to get some money by tomorrow. Okay. That was a season. It was a season because I questioned myself. Like I said, I really, really wondered if I really heard God on when I quit my job. I'm like, okay, nothing is going right. Everything is failing. I don't have no money. I don't feel like door dashing. Business is slow. I think I might need to get my job back. Like, literally thinking that I had to do that. And then also sharing this information with my family too. They were just like, are you crazy? And I'm like, yeah, I can't go back now. Like, it's too late. They're not going to take me back. They're going to be like, girl, you quit. You can't come back. So definitely a season. But like I said, nothing gets wasted. Like, that time that I spent, at the nonprofit, I don't regret quitting my job at all, because I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the trust in God that I had. And I learned a lot about relying on him, during these off seasons, and really figuring life out on your own. Because, we have to be realistic too. Like, life be lifing. And life was lifing during that period. And so, like I said, again, I'm just like reiterating stuff. Like, my relationship with God wasn't as strong. So I'm just like out here free willy-nilly in life, but not really dependent on him during that time. I feel like I'm talking a lot. I need you to ask more questions.
Because everything you're saying is so relatable. Like, anybody that has gone on this journey will understand exactly what you're talking about. The times where you are literally like in a dark room, like, God, what in the world? Literally. I thought I heard you. Now I'm questioning my whole discernment package. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And you graduated in 2017?
Yeah, I graduated in 2017 from Eastern with my bachelor's of science in nonprofit administration.
Okay. So was this your first job out of school?
Yep, this is my first. So I had my internship with them, and they were like, we want you. We're going to hire you. I said, perfect, because it's not easy to find a job in the nonprofit sector. And so, straight out of school, got hired and quit a couple years later. But the crazy thing is, I'm like, okay, God gave me this job. And it's just like, how you going to quit a job that God gave you? And I'm just like, Lord, I'm so sorry.
But what made you, like, because there's two reasons why people quit, right? Either they are fed up with the job, or they see something that they want more, right? Which one was it for you?
I saw both, honestly, but I more so saw something.
Or a combination, right?
Yeah, it's a combination, but I more so saw something. It was a burning fire in me. So my position there was marketing, and communications. And so I started to get more involved in photography and graphic design, learning Photoshop, building collateral, building marketing plans. And that was what I enjoyed most. And I'm like, I want to do this, but I want to do it on my own terms. And so I'm like, I'm going to quit my job because, one, I don't really like it. And then two, there's something that has been stirred up in me that I would love to do full time. And so creativity started to be revealed within me. Like, I knew I dabbled and dabbled in some creative stuff, but it started to open up more when I started working at that job. And I'm just like, okay, I'm a creative. I create things. I'm a creator. And another reason why I knew was because my love for fashion. If you love fashion, you are automatically a creator because you're
Yes.
creating pieces. You're putting things together, right? You're putting different designs and patterns and looks and colors together.
Mm-hmm.
And you're creating a piece for you to put on or for somebody else to put on for them to wear. And so that's when like things started to open up and click. Like things were starting to click like more than ever before. And I felt like I had more time. I had more time to do something that I was passionate about. I felt like the 8 to 5, the 9 to 5, whatever, was pulling me away from something that I really, really wanted to do. And so I quit my job and I started to do stuff that I really want to do, which was photography and just creating, designing, putting things together and being happy and miserable at the same time because I didn't have no money. Like money talks. Like money will make you sad. But I was happy as well because I'm like, I love doing this. So
Yeah. It's blowing my mind how similar our stories are. Like real talk, like that's exact like first job out of college. I was in the radio industry. So first job out of college. And I loved no, that's a strong word. I liked my job. And I liked the people more so than the job. I liked the people there. And just like you were saying, like when I got to like create like spots like in between shows and like ads and things like that, like I got to actually be creative and put together sound effects and sound design and all this stuff. I was like, oh man, this is so cool. If I were doing it for myself. And I made the leap too. And I was just like, I feel like, and the thing for me was, I don't know if this was for you, but when I got my job, I'm putting this out in the public now, but when I got my job, I was planning my exit. Like, I was like, this is going to be a stepping stone. I'm going to do, like, I already had a vision of kind of like, I knew where I didn't want to be. And I would ask God, I'm like, God, is it time? Because when I first started, I was just doing admin work. I wasn't even doing any creative work. I was just trying to get my foot in the door. Eventually, I was able to work my way up. But he was like, no, you got more to learn. You got more to learn. Stay. You got more to learn. And then eventually I asked again, and he was like, the ball's in your court now. And I literally felt like, I feel like I've gotten everything that I could get from this space. And now I could use it, and I'm ready, and I become the person I could be to make this work. So yeah, like I see so many similarities, and I'm sure people listening right now are thinking the exact same thing. Like, oh snap, I'm not the only one that's like crazy. Like,
I was asking people, I said, so how long I got to stay on this job before I can quit? Like literally having these conversations. And they were just like, give it about a year or so, before you move on to your next thing. I said, bet. I stayed on longer than a year. There was like some complications and things like that. I just kind of felt like the underdog. Like I just felt like the underdog. Fresh out of college, working with older people, and I did what I did, and it led me to where I am right now. I don't know if I was still working that job. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you. I don't even think Jesus and sneakers would be in existence, honestly.
yeah, that was going to be the next question I was going to ask. Actually, I was going to say, if you stayed, do you think it still could have worked?
No, because what I do now between 8 and 5, I could not do working that job at all. Between travel, no, it wouldn't work. It would not work. And I feel like I don't think I would have been able to tap into my best self. I don't think I would have been able to learn more about me. And then 3, I don't think I would have been able to realize that I had a creative side to me that needs to be utilized, that other people need access to. And I think I just would be miserable, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be sad. I would be sad.
It's so crazy because, like you said, I was telling people, they were like, oh, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, I am the happiest I have ever been.
Let me tell you something.
Like, really? And like, yeah. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm also the brokest I've ever been in my life.
See what I'm saying? Like, you be happy and broke, like, at the same time.
Yeah. So I get it. 100%. being an entrepreneur is one thing, but being a Christian entrepreneur is a little different. What would you say are your three like daily frustrations as a Christian entrepreneur?
Giving yourself grace, uh, being patient and not rushing the process, and lastly, trusting God with what He gave you. These are all three things that I have learned tremendously within the last year. Giving yourself grace, you're not going to get it right every time. And a lot of people don't know this, but Jesus and Sneakers has been operating for a little over a year. And so at the time, people were just like, oh my gosh, I thought this brand has been existing for years. And I'm like, no, I actually don't know what I'm doing, if I'm quite honest. And so I had to give myself grace because I was stepping into a new arena that I was unfamiliar with. And so I had to teach myself a lot of things, late nights, early mornings, and I'm a perfectionist as well. So being a perfectionist and trying to extend grace to yourself doesn't really mesh well.
Yeah.
And so giving yourself grace is a learned behavior. 2, trusting God and not rushing. You really have to lean not into your own understanding and trust the God that gave you the vision. I was having thoughts and conversations not too long ago, and I was just like, God has not forgotten about Jesus and Sneakers. The people haven't forgotten about Jesus and Sneakers, but you have to trust His timing. Like, you can't rush a God thing. You can't rush something that's precious. You can't rush growth. You can't rush change. And so that's something that I had to learn, because I'm just like, God, I want to do this. I want to do like brain on 10,000, like 99% of the time. And I'm just like, okay, God, I want to do this. Okay, God, I want to do this. And I need to release it now because I just have to. No, when you're building a brand and you're building something that contains or carries longevity, it takes time and momentum to build that. And so you have to trust the process, and you have to trust the God in the process. And so that's why you have to commit your life to prayer, because you're just like, okay, God, I want to release so-and-so, but I want to make sure I release it on your timing, because if you release it on your timing, you may not hit the people that you need to hit, or reach. I'll say reach. You may not reach the people that you need to reach. It may not have the greater effect on it as it would if God had breathed upon, that idea or that vision. And so trusting Him has just been a thing for me lately. And I'm just like, okay, like, you gave this to me, and so you're not going to throw it away. You're not going to leave me high and dry in this. You're literally going to walk me hand in hand through this process. You're going to give me the people, the resource, the knowledge, and the wisdom to make sure that I fully commit and fully succeed in operating this brand and this business, but also fully operating in this ministry as well, right? And so as Christian entrepreneurs, we just feel like this strong weight to just produce quickly. But you don't have to. Like, good things come to those who wait. Yeah. Just wait on the Lord and be of a good courage. Yeah. They that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength and mount up on wings as eagles, and they shall soar. You're going to soar. You just have to wait in the process. Just wait.
Yeah. I think you're tapping into something that is, because let's say for our brothers and sisters that do not know the God that we serve, right? And they're in the same arena, right? Let's say it's clothing or business or drop shipping or whatever it is. They're pursuing an entrepreneurial journey. And there is this pressure to perform, I feel like, at a level that has not existed before, because even people that don't have businesses or anything feel the pressure to perform. So it's like, and I know for me, like, I just started yesterday. I was just talking on Instagram Live about this the other day, this 40 by 40 fast kind of that I'm doing. This is the strangest fast I've ever done, but it's me fasting from information. I love to learn. And I'm always like, oh, this person's doing this. Oh, this YouTuber is doing this. Oh, this creator is doing this. Oh, this podcaster is doing this. How can I learn how to do that? How can I change my business model? All this different stuff where I'm always learning. And it's good stuff. It's not bad. But eventually I get so overwhelmed and I'm not doing anything. And it's like, I heard God say, like, you just need to chill. Like,
Literally,
and
that's so good.
the number 40 kept popping up in the Bible, like over and over again. 40 days and 40 nights of Noah on the ark, 40 days and 40 nights of Jesus in the wilderness, Elisha going to Mount Sinai, like all these different things. And each time it was a trial or a transformation that happened in those 40 days. And of course, the number 40 might not be something that you need to do. But the whole point of it is that you take time to actually just seek God and rely on him rather than rely on what you can do in your own strength. And I think that's so important for Christian entrepreneurs because you would just keep going. And unfortunately, I feel bad for those that don't know because they usually just keep on going and burn out. Luckily, we know that it's not within our power anyway. What we're doing is a God thing. You can't rush a God thing. So 1000%. I just was saying that to agree with you for real.
That is so good, and is very vital to our Christian entrepreneurial community. Social media has distorted our way of thinking, to think that we have to be like what is placed on these platforms, and that's not the case, like at all. Yeah. And that's when we start to feel defeated. Honestly, just how you said, like fasting from information, looking to see what other people are doing, and that's when discouragement starts to creep in, because you're just like, okay, I could be doing this with my brand, but they're doing it, and like just self-sabotaging. Like that's a prayer that you have to pray. Like, God, deliver me from the imposter syndrome and deliver me from self-sabotaging myself, because I can do it. I can do all things through Christ Jesus that strengthens me. And I am going to be my best authentic self to present something to the world, to present something to the body of believers that isn't like anything that they've seen, right? And so a lot of people are doing, a lot of things. A lot of people got t-shirt lines. A lot of people are launching podcasts, and all that stuff is great. But what makes it unique and different is God's stamp upon it, right?
Yep.
So the visionary, Clee, the visionary, you're not like any other podcaster that's podcasting, right? Because God gave you a vision, and you're fulfilling this vision and your purpose through what he has shown you. God is not showing everybody the same thing. He's not showing everybody the same vision. And so that's what makes Christian entrepreneurship so unique, because God has given everybody something specific to do, something specific to see, something specific to say, for a certain audience to, at the end of the day, reel them in back to Christ. Yes. To reel them in, to show them the love of Christ, and the peace that comes with being with him. And so it's not about us. Like, we're just like, wow, like I'm doing great things. No, you're not. Okay, yes, you are doing great things, but it's the God in you that's doing the great things through you. And so that's what we have to retain and remember. Like, none of this is our doing. This is all God. And if it wasn't for him, and if it wasn't him, it wouldn't matter, at the end of the day, because we ain't doing this for his glory. But if you're doing it for his glory, then he's going to honor that.
I think the differentiator, especially when you're in the marketplace, right? You're not around church folk all the time, is you can have the same amount of success, right? When it comes to the worldly definition of what success is. But I found that just looking at mentors and things like that, where other people who might have more money than you, might have more followers than you, they're like, there's something different about you. And I can't put my finger on it. You know what it is, right? But like, I can't put my finger on it. And they want that. They're like, I don't know what it is. And it's like, that's the Holy Ghost. Like, that's literally honestly what it is. And I feel like that is such a powerful testimony. My whole mantra behind my whole business is the world doesn't need more information. It needs more examples. Because the biggest changes I found in my life have come from me seeing Christ in action rather than just knowing what to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could go on forever. This is going to be the next to last question, and we'll wrap up here. I don't want to keep up too much of your time. I know you're busy. What do you secretly desire or not so secretly desire most when it comes to your vision?
I secretly desire for this vision to honestly just flourish. I want to merge cultures, right? So we have the church culture, we have an urban culture, we have, which underneath the urban culture, you can categorize sneakers and fashion and things like that. And I want to merge the two while still upholding the standard of holiness. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but that is what I feel inclined to do. And it all makes sense because I can do it through the styling aspect. I can do it by capturing the attention of, Jesus and sneakers. I can do it just by simply designing my own shoe. And just honestly, just really spreading the message and this becoming a stronger movement. Not just from a business aspect, but from a community aspect. I want to build a community. I want to build a community in the world that draws people to Christ.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know how in the world I'm going to do that, but it's going to get done. Like, I'm seeing different things, and I know it's attainable and I know it's achievable because I can see it. But at the end of the day, my tool with Jesus with Sneakers is evangelism. And so if I can secretly input that into drop these little seeds everywhere I go, then I feel like I have accomplished my job. And so I'm going to do that by way of business. I'm going to always sell merch. I'm going to do that by way of visiting different places and sharing my story, sharing my passion on how I love fashion and sneakers. But then also getting out into the community and giving back, right? So we're donating clothes, we're donating shoes, we're hosting events for the kids and their families to come together and feel the love and embrace from us through God's love.
If you had a billboard and it was sponsored by Jesus and Sneakers and the whole world passed on this highway and saw exactly what it said, what would you want the message to be that they read?
It would probably be something along the lines of, you can love God and still be dope, still be you at the same time.
I love it because I know it's so crazy when you have a vision inside of you that, and I tell this to people all the time, your vision usually doesn't change that much. Once it's given to you and that seed is planted, it might show up and manifest in different forms, but the root and why is still there. And I have an episode, it was number 10, right? We're on 100 something now of the podcast. And I said in there, I was like, I just want to make being a Christian, cool.
Yeah.
I just said, and not to the point where it's oh, we got to water down the gospel, but actually make the truth of the gospel.
Yeah.
Dope. So that's why I said I love what you said so much because, yes.
Yeah, why not? Seriously. How else are we going to reach this generation?
Yeah. Bre, thank you so much for hopping on the Build Your Vision podcast. This has been awesome. I'll just say a lot of people are going to get freedom from this interview.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I really enjoyed myself. And hopefully at least one life is changed or inspired or impacted by this.
Man, what an awesome interview. Thanks again, Bre, for coming on the show. 3 things I know I could take away from this. Trust God, keep going, and be authentic in your faith, because Christ is dope, and you are too. I hope you enjoyed this and were inspired to keep on going no matter what part of the journey you're in. As I always will say, keep on building your vision every single day. Someone needs what you're building. Peace. Executive production by Clee Davis. Music production by Clee Davis and Christian Hernandez. The Build Your Vision podcast is a product of Build Your Vision, LLC.